All right, good deal. Want to welcome questions. We'll be responding to those at the end of the presentation. Please put your questions in the chat, and looking forward to sharing a little bit of information that we've gathered and bringing you up to speed with current state of the government and what things are going to look like going forward and how we might be able to help you with your business development objectives. So for starters, our agenda will be sharing a little bit about OST.
I think we're having some technical difficulties here because I haven't seen the screen switch yet. Oh, it's really slow.
Huh.
All right, cool.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Let me know if that continues. I don't know what's going on here. Could be more technical issues. The government shutdown and how that's affected companies like the ones you all have and us included. Suggestions and options on how you can maximize your business development objectives and business growth. And then little Q&A. So when we get started. So few highlights about OST. We have won over 28 billion for our clients in the last 20 plus years. We are the home of the GovCon incubator. We love helping all companies, regardless of size. We're small business champions. We are a woman-owned small business. We have made large investments in time with AI in our business development course solutions, and we've actually delivered these solutions to over 112 companies. We have three facets to our organization. Education, our Bid and Proposal Academy. We have 18 courses that are foundations through advanced capture and proposal management. We offer customized corporate training, and we are the only company the Department of Labor is certified for government BD apprenticeship programming. This is very important to us here at OST, the education. These are our best practices. What we're teaching is what we're doing to help our clients win government contracts. Our second part of our business is our GovCon Catalyst. This is program or service. This is where we offer pipeline support that delivers full business development strategy, opportunity identification, human intel, and in short, gets you all the information to make an informed decision, bid, no bid. And one of the bigger parts of our business is our capture and proposal support services. This is where we typically offer T&M level resources, everything from capture managers, proposal managers, all the way through cost pricing. If you could think of the labor category and it has a business development flavor, this is what we do. And on average, OST delivers probably around 300 proposals a year for our clients. And we're proud to identify that when we are leading these proposals and assisting with capture, we win 85% of the time. Something we take a lot of pride in. And that's about 50% higher than industry alike. All right, so why don't we move on to the state of federal contracting? And so this is a full appropriations lapse. Technically, this is the longest scenario that has played out. As some of you may be old enough to remember, in 95 and 96, that occurred with over 21 days. In 2013, again, for almost 16 days. The most recent was during the same administration, 2016, and we are currently in day 29 of this shutdown, which has definitely been challenging again.
Have you been clicking, Bill?
I have.
I don't think it's showed up at all. There it goes. Oh, super weird. You have to click on the actual screen.
Yeah, sorry, as I review over here. I'm special.
Still working out the bugs. So,
Yeah.
real quick, a note on this. This is not the longest shutdown in history. It's just the one I believe that went under Trump's first term was not a full appropriations lap because I believe several of the funding bills had been passed. So the last time that it was a full appropriations lapse was in 2013. So this is certainly the longest in history. We're in a little bit of unprecedented territory here, but we'll talk about what the timelines are, is what we should expect as the government starts to reopen.
Thank you, Dave. Very helpful. So right now, everything that is going on in the government is associated with the Anti-Deficiency Act. And basically, this law governs what agencies can and cannot do, what obligated funding they're allowed to rely on or identify. And what we're seeing currently is obviously a reduction, if not any new solicitations coming out, pauses with current contracts that are being delivered, and unfortunately, a very large amount of people, close to a quarter of the government population, 750,000 people that have been furloughed and that are on unpaid leave. So one of the bigger risks and threats, obviously, for all companies that rely on federal contracting, inconsistent revenue generation, and not a lot of opportunities out there. And the opportunities that most of us had in our pipelines are no longer available or are very questionable as to when they may be released. So, with the current contracts that are active, we have seen a huge increase in the amount of these agreements that have been paused. You are not able to basically proceed with certain agreements unless you've received written direction from the contracts officer. We're seeing delayed payments, approvals, protests, and a lot of the times, most of these scenarios are not happening in a timely fashion. There's a massive backlog with some of the contracts that were in process and or that required modifications. And I think more important to hit that same point is a lot of people are not receiving their payments for the work that they're performing for Uncle Sam. So that's tough. For those of us that are looking to build pipelines, struggle is real when it comes to trying to identify new opportunities or even qualify those opportunities. There are a ton of awards that have been paused. One significantly, I think that a lot of people can relate to, the NASA SUP 6, GWAC. These award notifications were supposed to come out months ago. They're delayed, most likely going to see a delay going into the new year. The amount of RFIs and RFPs that have been canceled or paused are incredible, more than we'd expect. As a matter of fact, over the last 3 months plus, I think the biggest trend has been around more RFIs than RFPs. And that's a result of this administration, actions from the time that they've taken office. Not so much the government shutdown, but that's not helping. So there's a lack of opportunities. There's a lack of communication, a lot of unknowns, and it's been very complicated to connect with the government professionals that are out there to give us guidance. Something that's always been a bit challenging in general.
Yeah, I've heard several of our clients have talked to us about new awards that they've received since the shutdown or right before the shutdown, and it basically just went dark. So I'm sure you guys are seeing a lot of those similar things as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. So here's some data points. Some of this pretty well known. Some of it is maybe a bit of a surprise, but as I mentioned earlier, there's been a major uptick with RFIs. I think really what the government's trying to figure out is who's interested and what they can do to qualify releasing some of these RFPs, RFQs, and task orders. Um, since the beginning of this year, close to 3/4 of small businesses have lost contracts, significant amount of contracts. Pipeline drag is hampering new growth, BD forecasts.
Hey, Bill,
It is.
I think the clicks need to happen. There you go.
I think we're figuring out that I can't multitask, read and click at the same time. So sorry about that, folks. And everybody's going to get a copy, or we'll send this presentation to you afterwards in the event that I'm not sharing the data collectively or creatively. Federal solicitations volume down. This is probably one of the most significant data points to note. We did a comparison for the full year of 2024, and we looked at all government activity, RFPs, RFIs, RFQs, task orders, industry days, sources sought. And when we compared it to the current year, really going towards into August, what we found was that these activities were down 74%. It's amazing, significant. I think most of us feel this, but may not actually have these data points to confirm it. And that makes things a bit complicated, again, to build those pipelines and continue to grow your revenue.
And we talk about pipeline drag here a little bit more on a future slide, but these lack of solicitations that are coming out specifically related here is certainly related to that. So one of the things that we've been recommending to our clients, and one of the things we've been helping our clients with, is increasing the total contract value in the pipelines to accommodate for contract cancellations, solicitation volume being down, and increased competition that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people chase things that they would not have chased prior, particularly from the large and mid-tier businesses. They're going after anything that has a pulse, right? So we're seeing a lot of increased competition. One of the things that I want to talk about here for the RFIs real quick is I heard from multiple government folks that there's a new focus on what's called commerciality. So if you guys remember back earlier this year when the Trump administration or President Trump released the executive order about prioritizing commercial solutions. One of the things that we've been hearing from government customers is that when industry is putting in words like this is commercial off the shelf or this is readily available from the commercial market, that can help and that can hurt things. So if there's a significant portion of the new solicitation that is going to be commercial off the shelf or there's a commercially available product, great. It gets through the DOGE process fast, like the approval process. If it is not, and there's the word commercially available can make the acquisition process longer. So then the government folks have to go through additional justifications to the DOGE people about showing why a large portion of the contract is not commercially available and therefore should not go under whatever the IDIQ or GWAC is for commercial IT or commercial goods and services. So just be a lot more intentional about using the word commercial in your RFIs and sources sought, and make sure that it is really limited to whatever portion you're talking about. So if you know that there's going to be a lot of custom work or a lot of non-commercial work in a contract, make sure you delineate that in your RFI and sources sought and help out the government customers as they're doing their market research. And that hopefully will speed up the DOGE reviews and the justifications. So.
Perfect. Thanks, Dave. Very helpful information. In line with some of the other reductions and changes we've seen, contract cancellations and terminations are up 11%, really more than 11%. So for the full year of 2024, a little bit under 40,000. In 2025, and this was as of pretty close to the end of this month, we were closer to 45,000. So sort of the data is on track with, unfortunately, a lot of the negative news we're seeing. As we get further into this presentation, we're going to give you what we think the government looks like in the next 6 months or so, and hopefully be a bit more positive than what we've seen to date. So the top markets that have been affected by these cancellations, paused agreements, lack of solicitations. You're looking at professional services taking one of the bigger hits at 10 billion, IT 4 billion. No surprise there that that's a little bit on the lower side as the government's focus with IT, cybersecurity still stays strong. R&D is down a couple billion, and the international development contracts 40 billion plus. As we all may recall, once these changes were put in place in the first quarter, U.S. aid was basically reduced to nothing, and a lot of the funds were diverted or canceled as a result of that action. Over to the right, and we have a table that shows the different districts that are at risk based on forecast. As most of you may also use, we rely heavily when we're doing our research with products like Bloomberg Government, GovWin, DASIS, USA Spending, et cetera, to sort of collect the trending data. We also have a full dedicated research team that does a lot of human intel to verify some of these data points and to confirm what next steps will look like, what kind of forecast can be made based on the changes that are occurring. When we came across this table, it was definitely very interesting. One, it was sort of bipartisan in nature. It didn't seem like it was one-sided, but at the same time, that's still significant amounts of money that's being reallocated and or that will no longer be available for these leaders. So what does the next 6 months look like? What can you do to better prepare for these changes?
Yeah, so real quick, word on the street, these are rumors. Me personally, I've been thinking that November 1st is the timeline for the reopening. We got to make payroll again for all of the DoD forces, and I think that those budgets are depleted or pretty close to being depleted. I actually heard over the past couple days that Congress is waiting on the Virginia elections that are going to be wrapped up here on November 4th. So again, these are rumors. I mean, obviously, if you have a crystal ball, let us know if you've heard anything, but think it's coming to an end here soon. We'll see. I've also heard from some lobbyists that neither side, Democrats or Republicans, are both sides believe that they're winning, and there's not really much incentive to negotiate. Somebody in the chat said congressional staff discussions supposedly Thanksgiving end. Man, that would be rough.
That would be very tough.
Let's hope it happens before then.
Yeah, agreed.
Optimistically. After Thanksgiving too. Yeah, there's a couple people saying after Thanksgiving, so fingers crossed. Yeah, just before that.
Without a doubt. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, so it'll be very interesting. So up on the screen, we actually have created a summary of what will occur once the government reopens. And this is based on those prior government shutdowns and some of the conversations that we've had with our contacts in the government. A lot of information here, but we wanted to make sure that you had this. And again, once we'll provide this slide deck to you at the conclusion of this presentation. Something really worth noting especially for your active contracts and what it's going to look like as you start trying to rebuild your pipelines. And from the active contract standpoint, in the first week, this is where OPM and OMB, they're going to issue their guidance on what next steps look like. The agencies will be reopening, people will be coming back to work, and the COs and the cores are going to most likely have to validate what contracts are going to stay stopped and which ones are going to continue and what those finances look like. There should be written notifications sent to the federal contractors, letting them know if they can resume their activities for those activities that were paused. There'll be additional funding that will be identified, and in theory, there should be financial validation as to what the obligated funding looks like and what you can spend. On the new solicitation side for that first week, they're basically going to review their solicitations that they were planning on releasing, some that were paused, and they're going to strategize and notify and hopefully re-release or update the records in SAM.gov, GovWin, BGov, etc. There'll be additional amendments that will come out as a result of these delays. And we should expect there to be changes with schedules and hopefully updates when needed with the different deliverables for the proposal submission. In week 2, you're going to see for the active contracts incremental funding to be issued. The payment offices should be back and hopefully fully functioning. This is, by the way, if everything goes according to plan and everybody participates and comes back to work, obviously. For week 3, for the active contracts, now basically they are negotiating extensions and notifying the federal contracts accordingly. Week 4, or weeks 4 through 6, I think that the backlog has now been identified and the contract administrative actions are fully written and clear. Over on the solicitation side of the house, we're going to see from weeks 2 through 6 revisions, releases, hopefully debrief schedules for those awards that came out. The awards will start occurring, and if there are cancellations of solicitations, the records will be updated accordingly so that people can update their pipelines as needed. So again, decent amount of information here. Hopefully it helps. And let's go to our next slide. So what the next 6 months are going to also include is increased amount of solicitations coming out. Acquisitions will still be delayed, and we're hoping to see more industry days. Tentatively speaking, over the last year, the amount of industry days has declined, but in theory, with this pause, there's a good chance they will want to have more of these so that people do have the opportunity to receive the information they need and ask the questions that they would like. As you are progressing, getting back to business as normal, you're going to want to pay attention to GSA. I think that GSA is looking to play a bigger role with procurement, especially with IDIQs and GWACs. We know that with NASA SOUP 6 on the horizon, NASA SOUP the NASA group took the opportunity to sort of put their foot down to hold on to 5. I'm sure they want to keep 6. Not sure how that's going to play out. But as GSA schedules are being consolidated, if you're not on a schedule like GSA 70 Schedule 70 mass, definitely something you want to look into. And OST has some of the best GSA specialists in the country that
Bill, I
assist.
think you need to click some more.
Best presentation ever.
Yeah, so if you guys remember beginning of the year that this GAO funding is one of the questions that somebody just asked. But if you guys remember in the beginning of the year, President Trump signed the executive order to consolidate purchasing back with GSA for common goods and services. This was primarily focused on IT, and they have been consolidating a lot of IT contracts. So there's been several large contracts that have been canceled at DHS. I believe GSA is going to be consuming the chess office for the Army. So the ITES, I don't know if it's the entire one, but the ITES contracts, what was going to be Army maps, I believe is going to go to Alliant and Oasis. Just some things that I've been hearing, but GSA is continuing to kind of consolidate its control over that common goods and services purchasing. We've heard that the NASA program office, like Bill was saying, is fighting significantly or very hard to keep that under NASA control. I think it has to do with the fact that the tech refresh process on the GSA schedules is like a month, and the tech refresh process under SOUP is 24 hours. So, and that's part of the success of NASA SOUP, but we'll see about that. The other thing that we wanted to mention was the GEO's funding is forecast to be cut by 50%. So we're going to see a lot less. Our protests are going to be delayed, or they're going to take longer. I think half of the inspector generals have been fired and the positions have not been refilled. So we're going to see the oversight of improper contracting. Oh, Bill, you switched there. Good. We're going to see the oversight of improper contracting practices be diminished. This chart here at the bottom, somebody asked a question about this. This chart here at the bottom is the budget reconciliation changes that occurred earlier this year. There was additional rescissions as well. And I put it in the notes there, Bill. What was the name of the act? I can't remember.
It was the Rescissions Act of 2025. So I think it resulted with, based on our notes, I don't know if you have those notes, the 9.4 billion in obligated funds being canceled, and about 8.3 billion from international assistance, and then 1.1 billion from the public broadcasting.
Yeah, rest in peace, Big Bird. So I think that was part of the questions here. I know we have a lot more questions that are plopping out here. Somebody asked about Army Maps. I've heard that, so Army Maps was going to be the consolidation of ITES 4S, the software version of ITES, and the RS3 contract, which was the rapid prototyping contract for the Army. Those two contracts are going to get consolidated together into Army Maps. I believe that GSA is trying to take that over. So I think that scope is going to get consumed into Alliant and Oasis. So there might have been a third one. I don't remember off of that, but Oasis Plus was supposed to open up for another on-ramp at the end of this year. We were hoping that was going to come out November, December. Obviously, if the shutdown continues through then, it won't. But Oasis Plus is going to be a huge beneficiary of a lot of these consolidations of contract vehicles. So that's definitely going to be one that if you are not on it, that you should look at it. Somebody asked about Navy Seaport. I believe that Navy Seaport is looking to be moved as well. I don't know how much longer that one's going to stay around, but I've heard people talk about that moving to the schedules. Oh, there you go. The Navy just announced that they will start prioritizing Oasis Plus. Yeah, there you go. So Oasis Plus is that's the one that's the biggest beneficiary of all of these changes. If you're not on it, you need to be as soon as the next one comes around. You know, the scorecards are fairly settled. They just added 5 new scope areas in the RFI over the summer. So all of that's out there. We did a webinar on that a few months back, I believe, Bill. You guys
Yeah.
can go back and check that out. We have one of the guys on our team has a 100% win rate on Seaport or Oasis Plus. He won 7 last time it came around. So we have a lot of
Yeah, I think,
experience with that. If you need to, yeah, the
yeah, I think,
scorecards are available. They're on sam.gov for the past one. So yeah, over to you, Bill.
yeah. No, thanks. So actually, it's a good point, Dave. I think we ended up assisting 22 companies getting their submissions in and getting on ramped. Most of them were smaller businesses that needed partners. So if that is something you're interested in, please reach out and we can discuss what the scorecard assessment looks like and what next steps are. To be fair, this is a much smaller investment compared to most proposal responses. There's not a lot of narrative. It is a lot of forms. There is reliance on CPARs and some of the JP6s getting completed, but outside of that, it's a lot simpler scope comparatively. It's going to be a very good GWAC. To be part
Yeah,
of.
you just want to make sure that you're 1,000% compliant because we know of companies who did not get an award because they literally did not sign the last amendment, which was like Amendment 23 that happened in the summer. There was nothing for them to do except sign the amendment, and they missed out on an award because of that. So it's just it's a compliance exercise and making sure that you meet the minimum scores. I think it's 32 for small businesses and 42 for large, something like that.
Yeah, in
So
that
anyway,
ballpark.
yeah,
Varies based on
if you
domain.
need support on that, let us know. We can help out.
Yeah, without a doubt, including from a partner standpoint. Thanks, Dave. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's see if I can click at the same rate I'm speaking. No promises, people. Actually, I'm going to just click ahead so we don't have to worry about that. All right. So what can you do to best support you grow and continue to grow your business, making sure your pipeline's healthy and you have opportunities out there, and then also support your active contracts as needed? So first, you should audit and reassess your current pipeline. These are our best practices. This is what we're suggesting to our clients. It's time to reprioritize the opportunities based on the information that's available. Though updates are not occurring like they were prior to the shutdown or even last year, assume that there's about a 1.5 to 2 month delay with opportunities being released, awarded, etc. Look at that pipeline drag. Ensure that your pipeline is probably about 4 to 5 times what it normally would be. That's from a revenue standpoint, more or less, obligated funding, etc. Traditionally, it's about 2 to 3 times that goal. But right now, in light of a lot of unknowns, we're suggesting that you try to be about 4 to 5 times the size. Revise your quarterly revenue projections. Awards are going to be delayed. We mentioned earlier that you're looking at about a 1.5 to 2 month delay on most everything that's happening in the government. Only makes sense with the shutdown time, considering the time again it's going to take for them to get up to speed and back to normal business processing. You're probably looking at 2 months at a minimum before things start to seem a little bit more normalized. You want to verify that your government contacts are still there. With the furlough, there's no guarantee people are going to be coming back. Number of people already took the buyout. This could become even more complicated once the furlough is listed. And if you are able to verify and get a hold of these folks, you want to ask them whatever questions you can to determine what changes have occurred with any solicitations that you're targeting. Here at OST, we have a dedicated team that does this. We will be we're transparent partners. We don't want you to make an investment with us or us promise something that we cannot do or complete. And to be fair, historically, reaching out to government contacts has always been challenging. There are those folks that tell you what you need. There are those folks that tell you more than they should. And then there are those government folks that most likely will threaten you if you ever call them again. That's part of the challenge. As of late, it's been a little more challenging, and I think more or less just nobody's getting back to us, but we are here to be that trusted partner. So reach out. If you think there's something we can do on your behalf, make a call, reach out to incumbents, etc., to increase your probability of determining if you should proceed, bid, no bid, or win if you were to proceed. So keep the proposal development process moving for those opportunities that are active, that do have a either submission date or an RFP release date. Do the capture, do the pre-proposal, do the proposal work, continue to do it so that you're ready to submit if things stay the course. Or even if there is a change and it's not a significant change, you have enough time to submit a winning proposal. And while there is a bit of downtime, strongly suggest that the business development groups that you're part of or that you're managing and relying on, that you help them go through different courses, take advantage of cross-training and best practices with business development. One other point.
Bill,
yeah,
I think that you did not click again.
That Bill guy. I was so close.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been running into a bunch of furloughed folks at different conferences and been hearing them tell me, hey, I don't have anything to do, and was wondering how come nobody wanted to talk to them. So it was kind of funny. I ran into an NIH program manager who was complaining bitterly about the fact that everybody wanted to talk tech to the PIs, but nobody wanted to talk to the program manager. And he was like, I review everybody's proposals. I make all the award decisions. So who wants to get coffee? It's kind of funny. So he was just kind of sarcastically saying, yeah, you should reach out to the furloughed customers, see what they're doing, catch up with them. I know it's tough to it's tough not getting paid, right? So contractors are not getting paid, government people are not getting paid. So I mean, you can talk and commiserate. Maybe they'll tell you stuff that they wouldn't otherwise tell you because they're not busy. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, good point, Dave.
I would recommend somebody saying, what's the best way to track down the PMs in Kotar? A lot of times they are listed, well, at least the Kotars potentially are listed in the solicitations. The best way to do it when you don't know them is on LinkedIn to find, because a lot of times what they'll do is they'll have like keywords from different programs in their title, and then it'll be program manager at the end. So that's a lot of open source research. I'm actually going to talk about that problem here in a couple slides. And yes, the slides are going to be made available. So there's a lot of questions, guys, that we're not going over right now as we're going through the presentation. But we will address them here at the end. So I think we need to hustle up through some of the slides because we only got 20 minutes left.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. Thanks. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go to... All right. So some of the challenges that we're seeing with the people that we work with and just throughout industry is prioritizing which opportunities to target. There are a lot of opportunities in their pipeline, and what they're not sure of is, are they real? And are they going to still stay active or be an option to deliver? We find that a decent amount of people think that quantity is better than quality, though we mentioned earlier it's in your best interest to have 4 to 5 times the goal within that pipeline. You still want to make sure that it's quantity. We all have been working in this proposal world, and we know it's a big investment of time and money. So if you're going to make that investment, make it count. And quantity is not the answer. In a lot of cases, quality is. So, people are not bidding on enough opportunities. People are being extra conservative right now, concerned. Should I make that investment? Should I spend that time? Should I submit for that opportunity? If it's an opportunity that you can support, you could be compliant, compelling, and you have differentiators, yeah, it's worth proceeding. If you don't, you're not going to win. Most folks are still struggling with finding the time and the resources for gate review process. Pink team, we typically look at 60%. If it's a 30-day delivery, we're looking at doing this within the first 7 to 10 days with recovery. Red team, 90% recovery in weeks 2 and 3. And you want to be around gold team and white glove in that last week. That's standard. That's a good best practice. That's going to help you have a stronger proposal submission. If you don't have the time and resources to do it in-house, you need to look for that partner that can help you do that. That's critical to growth. The lack of knowledge, intel, including from the CEO's offices, are tough, makes you hesitant on wanting to make a decision and to figure out if you should go forward, bid, no bid, pursue, etc. The data below, which is on my screen. Wow, look at me. It's a snapshot of the time, the hours, and the money that companies invest to try to mitigate the risks that we just discussed. And it's tough. It's a big investment. We have found in our history, and something we didn't share up front, Alessia Smatrova, who's our founder, a PMP fellow, Dave, myself, we have over 75 years of government contracting, business development support amongst the three of us. And to be fair, the one thing we see on a regular basis is the complications with some of the more critical positions in your BD groups, capture managers, proposal managers, and business development specialists. It's tough. It's a what have you done for me lately type of work environment. And if there's no return on investment or limited return on investment, these people disappear and you have to reinvest a lot of time and a lot of money to make up and be able to support the objectives associated with those labor categories. So very commonplace. OST currently has about 120 active clients. We also have a teaming portal we'll talk about in a little bit where we have over 200 plus teammates. And the issues that I just discussed are a pretty common theme across a lot of companies. We see that more the mid-sized to enterprise level companies, they don't have these challenges, but they also make significant investments in education and the personnel for the teams that they're building. So they have backup, they have educated resources that they're bringing up to speed to help them mitigate these losses.
Yeah, I think we need to hustle up through the next slides here.
Okay.
So we can get through everything.
All right. So we're going to jump into OST's GovCon Catalyst product. This is something that we have been developing over the last 3 to 4 years, but have been using and working and supporting for our clients to help them build strong opportunities throughout our 20 years. We're now just focusing on how we can perfect this and make it so that your investments give you strong opportunities, a strong pipeline, and actions that you can take to win. This service, it covers strategy sessions that require us to become extremely, understanding of your capabilities, past performance, teaming strategies, everything that's needed to identify proper opportunities. We do market analysis. We help a lot of people get into different parts of the government where they normally wouldn't work, or potentially change course if they are making an investment in one aspect of the government and it's not paying off. Maybe it's not the right area. Account planning, opportunity identification, qualification. Let's get through gates 2 and 3. Let's figure out the bid, no bid. And that's resulting with them making better choices, qualitative choices, and submitting proposals that have a higher win rate. This service currently has approximately 20 clients. Actually, it's closer to 26 right now that we are delivering for. And we have found it still to be very successful and helpful during this difficult time with the government. And we're still able to find opportunities. On average, we have seen most of our clients receive 6 to 12 qualified strong opportunities that they want to proceed with, and that is still the case. We think it's going to pick up once the government gets back to normal. This service, though it's identified right now based on company size, 6 million and less, 6 million and more, these services are offered in both scenarios, regardless of your size. This is just what we think is a suggested best practice for the larger companies versus maybe some of the companies that are still up and coming. In the end, you're going to have access to our new WinMoreBD AI application, and Dave's going to talk about that in a minute. Full-on opportunity identification, pipeline management, management of your portals, including schedules, gap analysis, and if you're looking at the larger solution, streamlined capture plans, intelligence. The customer intelligence piece is not marked off on the 6 million and smaller. To be honest, it is a part of that delivery. It's necessary for us to create the right portfolio and or opportunity solutioning. And then you can use these services to support RFI and proposal responses. They're limited based on the amount of the service that you're signing up for. All right, Dave, would you like to jump into the WinMoreBD AI tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, guys, this is something that Alessia and I have been working on. If you've been coming to our webinars for a while, you've seen us, you've heard us talk. Alessia and I have been building this new platform for the past 9 months now, and we are developing a win strategy engine to help companies win more during capture. So a lot of the other platforms that are out there have some basic workflows around finding opportunities and around writing proposals. But for those of you guys who have won a lot and have been successful in the past, you know that you don't win new contracts by writing proposals. You win new contracts by helping or by figuring out what your customers want and then figuring out how to give it to them. So we are building our 20 years of processes into this system so that you guys can get access to top business development support and top capture strategies without having to hire those people, without having to invest more in those people, and particularly with meeting today's demands of doing more with less. So our website is live now, and you guys can go and schedule demos. We have a prototype. Our product is going to be available in December. So that's the first release. And if you go to the next one here, the next slide here, we are actually doing a, Bill, can you click?
Trying to. We have figured out I'm not really good at this.
There you go. So we're doing a special offer right now, limited to the first 50 companies. We're giving 33% off the first year of the cost, which launches in December, and we're deferring payment to 2026 to accommodate the cash flow issues. I know a lot of people are hurting right now. That's a quarterly fee that you can pay or an annual fee, and we're also giving 5 licenses to OST's training courses to our LMS, and that's a $60,000 value. That includes all of our training courses, including orals, including Black Hat Price to Win, including on-contract growth, some specialty classes that you can't really get anywhere else. The platform is reducing the time to a win strategy by 75%, doubling people's win probabilities, reducing pursuit costs by 50%, and time to first draft is 4x. So one of the things we found out is that when you give AI good stuff, good content, it generates great proposals. So what we are doing is helping BD teams, capture teams, collaborate with their customers better, identify actionable win strategies, and then turning all of that content into excellent proposals that win. So very excited to show you guys this. You can go to the website. It's on the prior slide, and schedule time with me, and I'll show you exactly how it works. And if you are interested in this deal, this is only until we launch. So this is going to, for roughly the next month and some change. So, Bill.
And Dave, if I can add on top of that, with the GovCon Catalyst monthly services, this is included in your subscription, which, by the way, currently is being offered at a month-to-month solution with the option to continue those services as needed and or provide written notification if it's something that may not be providing the best return on investment. We could talk more about that if you schedule some time with us. But again, this has been a very successful product. This WinMoreBD AI solutioning is super exciting and adding a lot of value. So thanks, Dave.
Yep. So I think that's all the slides. Is there one more?
Yeah, just basically, so we're going to include a couple of things. There'll be a QR code at the end of the slide deck. Also some links if you'd like to schedule some time. Most likely with me, I can promise you I'll be in a much better technical situation where I can hopefully speak fluently and share screens. But we love to learn about how we can help you. That's including through teaming, growth, strategy. And yeah, that's about it, Dave. So if you want to,
let's head over to the questions here. So I answered some of them. So if I forget one, I apologize. So this question is, how do you all anticipate the shutdown affecting contracts that haven't been recompeted but are set to expire in Q1? There's another question related to this. I believe if the contract expires, let me back up. If the contracting officer has reached out to you and designated your people as essential, you are required to keep them working. So I know that there's challenges about being able to pay them. I don't know if your contract expires, what happens. I'd venture to guess that it's over. So you would want to go through the contract closeout activities. But I'm not 100% sure about that. So I'd consult a lawyer. What's the next question here? So, does the loss of experienced folks in DoD contracting impact the flow down rate of funds? Yes, I think so. I think I have a lot of thoughts on that. Does it impact the flow down rate of funds? Potentially. I think the new layer of Doge reviews of commerciality that I talked about earlier is having an impact, but certainly anytime you lose experienced workforce, you're going to be less effective, less able to handle the volume. So I would say that the attrition in acquisition workforce is going to slow down the release of funds. So we answered that question.
Dave, I also wanted to acknowledge somebody asked a question. My apologies if I didn't identify. Sure. For the GovCon Catalyst, 6 to 12 opportunities per month, per quarter, typically monthly on average.
Yep.
So great question.
So someone asked if there are any more big Doge threats. I've heard rumors about DoD requiring to give another several $1 billion in savings. I haven't heard anything publicly about that. The rumor that I heard was that Secretary Hegseth was not happy about that, as you can imagine. So I've heard rumors, but I haven't seen anything move yet, put it that way. What do you mean by catch up on qualifying your opportunities? So one of the things that we see in a lot of pipelines is uh, doing the process that no one likes to do. So verifying if your opportunity is real and making sure you understand who the customer is, who is making the buying decision, and verifying that they have an actual need that they will be procuring. Generally, when you have those three things, and it's different in every organization, but generally when you have those three things, you have a live opportunity. One of the things that companies will do at that point is prioritize that opportunity as a strategic bid. Sometimes you have strategic level deals, depending on how large it is. So really depends on your BD process, but this is one of the things that I've seen in a lot of mid-tier large businesses is that business developers report on the size of their pipeline, not necessarily how much of it is actually real or will be competed this year. So it's kind of like, oh, well, I have, $5 billion in my pipeline. Well, how much of that is actually real? How much of that is going to be coming out this year, this quarter, this month? Right. So that's what we mean by qualifying. The federal agency CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, under Health and Human Services, brought back their furloughed workforce starting this week. Any thoughts on whether the CMS opportunities open or recently closed and GSA e-buy would continue without impact from the shutdown? If they're open, they're still due per the due date. If they're closed, they're closed. I don't know. Are they going to push out new opportunities? I've heard varying reports across the agencies about who is releasing opportunities, who is not. I think most of them are not. I don't know what CMS is doing specifically. I haven't heard anything related to that. For active solicitations, will they issue amendments that change the due date, or are they unable to do so? Depends if those acquisition folks are still working or not. So if they're furloughed, they will not. The proposals are still due, and we're just going to have to do without Q&As and any amendments. So maybe they will issue an amendment when it opens back up again. So that's possible, but that's going to be on a case-by-case basis. Yes, these slides will be available. What does your crystal ball tell you about CBIR reauthorization? Well, the SBA funded the FAST grant again, so it's at least going to go out another year. I don't know about the full reauthorization, but I've heard in Congress that there are bills that are making CBIR permanent. I haven't seen any official thing happen yet because they've all been kind of derailed by the shutdown and the budgeting. Did you say that WinMoreBD AI is included in the GovCon catalyst? Yes. Can you please re-clarify the three things that make an opportunity real? Yeah. You need a buyer, right? So you need to know who's going to make the buying decision. That buyer needs to have a requirement that you can fulfill, right? So they need a need. And then they need to have money. Those are the three things. If they only have two things without money, then it's a contact. What else?
Hey, Dave,
Cool.
since you had mentioned
Bill.
CBIR, I'd love to just share with the group, if in the event people are not aware, we are a big proponent of CBIR's STTR labs. We actually have an ongoing bridge program that is officially starting November 3rd. Suggest that if you get the opportunity to go to our website to take a look, see if this is something that interests you. We are accepting applicants for the second cohort that hopefully will be starting early next year. And this will be a great opportunity.
Yeah, Bill, could you go over the regional requirements for that?
I don't have that available at the moment.
I believe it is Maryland, DC, Virginia, and Delaware.
And Delaware. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you meant regional, I'm sorry. I thought you meant specific technical. Yeah. No. So if you're in the Maryland, DC, Virginia, and Delaware area, you qualify, as long as you are still a small business.
Yep. How is GovCon Catalyst priced, especially for small business? Reach out to us. We can go over that. And then this recording will be made available. So somebody asked about the cohort. So the cohort is through the
Department of Treasury, and
yeah,
we are
Department
working.
of Treasury. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I did bring this up with short notice. Yeah, if you would like, with the scheduling options, please schedule some time with me and we can discuss this in detail and also determine if you're a good fit, share more about the program. But we are looking to onboard about 20 to 25 additional people, or excuse me, companies for the next cohort.
Yep, and that is essentially free business development and pipeline support through the Treasury SSBCI contract. We have partnered with Maryland Tedco for that. So yeah. If you guys are not already, please subscribe to our newsletter. Schedule some time to reach out to us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to follow up with any additional questions as you have them, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dave.
See y'all. Thanks, Bill. Cheers.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.